So to clarify the tools I used for this job, pretty simple all in all. Once I got down and figured out exactly what I needed, it took a little bit, but once I had everything, the second side went about 5 times as fast as the first side. All the learning that I did, and hopefully you won't have to go through that learning curve. So real quick, I have a 3-pound sledge. The only reason I use that was to break loose the lower control arm and the ball joint from the wheel hub. And again, that took quite a few whacks. I used this bolt because it was short, and I had, this is to some kind of a puller. I had it around. I could bang on it pretty good. I know I'm not going to damage it or anything like that, and I probably won't ever use this puller again. So it was at my disposal, so I used it. You could use anything else that will allow you to bang pretty good, because that ball joint does not want to come out. I have 2 1/2-inch sockets, ratchets, just because when it just makes it much easier once you get the job going to leave one of them on the nut that's on the top of the rear bushing bolt. It just makes it so much easier to not have to switch ratchets. Then I have a 16mm wrench. I also had a 19mm to put it back on, and then a pair of vice grips to hold the ball joint bolt while I turned it, because it will spin. I have my 1/2-inch impact wrench, and then for that front bushing bolt, I misspoke earlier. This is a 13/16, and it can be a shallow socket. That's no big deal. Shallow socket will actually work better. You need a deep socket for the upper bolt, the upper nut on the rear bushing, and that is a 21mm deep socket. I used 1/2-inch drive on that. And then for the bottom portion of the bolt on that rear bushing, you need this 24mm deep socket as well. So that's it. Those are the tools. So I couldn't find any really good videos on YouTube on how to change out the lower control arm on a 2010 Dodge Grand Caravan, or I'm assuming it probably goes all the way up through the 2015 Caravan and the Chrysler Town & Country. So I'm going to make this little cheesy video just to give a quick overview on how it's done. You just take off all the lugs, pull off your tire. On the inside here, there's on the front bolt here, that takes a let's see, looks like I think I'm using a 3/16 ratchet. Yep, 3/16 socket on that. And then around back here, on the back side of the hub, there's a nut right there. This is the replacement one that came with my kit. It's actually a 19mm, but the one that's on there originally is a 16mm. That sucker's hard to get off, and it's hard to put back on. It's got an Allen wrench on the top, so probably the proper way to do this would be to take the whole rotor off and take the axle out, and that way you could access the top of that nut. But this van has 290,000 miles on it. I'm probably not going to do the lower control arms again, so I just grabbed a hold of it with a pair of vice grips to tighten it up. The ball joint itself is kind of hard to get out. I had to hit it quite a few times with a 3-pound sledge, and I used a bolt, and it's hard to see, but I kind of put it down through between the brake line and pounded on a long bolt straight through. That way I could put force directly where the ball joint attaches. So it eventually comes out. Again, it took quite a few whacks and hard whacks to get it out. Up in here, you can see back in there, that's going to remove the rear bushing, and what I have on there is, I'll tell you later, but there's a socket back in there, and that socket goes down to this bolt, which is on the bottom, and I used an impact wrench. You probably shouldn't use an impact wrench, but I just got tired and used it to tighten it up and to loosen that bolt. That's a pretty good size through bolt. It is tricky to get it back in once you take the assembly out. What I had to do was I took this bolt on the bottom here is oh man, there's so much oil on this I can't even read what it is. Anyway, I took that, and you kind of have to, let me see if I can get my lighting here a little better. When the bolt's out, it's about a 4 or 5 inch long bolt, and to get it through the first hole, it's easy. That's no problem. The problem comes when you try to get it through the upper hole. And what I did is I felt with my finger up above to see how much I had to pull, and there was about this much bolt exposed on the bottom here. So what I did is I took the very tip of my socket here, and I just held on to the end of that bolt, and I pried it toward me, and that was able to push this bushing enough that's in here to allow me to pull and twist and eventually screw that back in there. I'm gonna tell you, that took me a while to figure out, a lot of frustration, and I hope that with that little bit of knowledge, it'll make your job that much easier. Reverse order, put it back in. Again, you put this one first, the rear, and then I put this one in, the front. I didn't tighten down anything until I got the ball joint in place and tightened down. Now I'm going to go back and tighten everything up nice and snug, put my wheel back on, and away you go. One last thing, while you're in here, you might as well replace those sway bar. See that blue grommet in there? Sway bar, gosh, I can't think of the name, but bushings. There you go. Those are just held on with a half moon clamp. Might as well do both sides while you got it open and you got it all torn apart. Those are cheap. They're like $7 at O'Reilly. The control arms I bought from A1 Auto. Got both of them for about $160 shipped, and that includes tax and everything. I hope this helps you out. It was a lot of learning for me, and good luck and have fun. Oh, one thing. Right now I'm on the passenger side. On the driver's side, this front bolt right here is not going to be accessible very well because the transmission's in the way. So what you got to do is you got to put a jack with a piece of wood on it, jack your transmission up, and that'll get your transmission out of the way, and that way that'll give you access to that bolt. Otherwise you're going to have all kinds of fits all day long trying to figure out how to get that bolt out. It's just simple, easy. Just jack your transmission up a couple inches, get it out of the way, and you'll have full access to that bolt. Good luck, good night, have fun.